We all go through phases in life where we feel like we're unsure of where we're headed and we're unsure whether we should move in this direction or that direction, and we feel stuck. And that's where we might think that our life is fucked up. So in this episode, I'm going to tell you how I unfucked my life. Maybe you can unfuck yours. This is episode 31 of the Get Uncomfy podcast. I wasn't sure for a bit. I'm Joe, and as usual, nothing great has ever been achieved from within the boundaries of one's comfort zone. So let's get uncomfy together. Hi. I've gone through so many different changes in my life and so many different seasons, and I've always put myself in a position where I needed to start over and do something new and find a new direction that I want to go through. And every time, shortly before a new outbreak or a new direction, I felt stuck and I felt like life is not moving forward and I'm stagnating and things just don't make sense and life is not very enjoyable. But over the years, I realized that feeling stuck gave me the opportunity to recreate myself, my path, and my journey, which now makes those phases very exciting. Because no matter how much we grow and no matter how much we keep going, there will come a phase where growth will be a bit stagnant and we will feel stuck and not knowing what's going to happen next. So there are 5 different reasons and 5 different stages of feeling stuck that I want to talk about in this episode. So let's dive in. So the first phase is the lack of direction or purpose. I've spoken to so many people over the years, and a lot of them had the same idea and the same question of, I don't know where I want to go, and I don't know what I want to do, and I don't know what I'm capable of doing, and I don't know what brings me joy. And I understand that it's scary to not know where you want to go. Imagine getting in a car and just driving and driving and driving and driving and some more driving. After a while, you'll get bored and you'll stop and you'll feel lost and you'll revert back and drive home, which is your comfort zone. And when we go back to our comfort zone, we're not going to move forward. So before we set out to do something or create a new routine or figure out what we want to do, first of all, we need to understand which direction do we want to go. North, west, east, south. Which direction? And to find that out, there's an exercise I did, which is I wrote down my values and then my interests, my strengths, and my capabilities. And by looking at those things, I tried to set goals that align with my values and interests and also cover my strengths and capabilities. So for example, I had a strength of mine that I listed was communication and talking to people. An interest of mine was listening and helping people actually find solutions to problems. So an interest of mine was problem solving. And my values are helping people live more enjoyable lives, for example. So when I looked at those things, I was able to set goals clearer that aligned with all 4 categories or 3 categories or whatever. So when you set your goals, you need your goals to align with your values and interests and strengths, because otherwise you'll lose sight of it very quickly. So if your goal is to make money or if your goal is to become famous or whatever, without knowing how it aligns with your values, you only need a couple of setbacks to revert back and say it's not working and I don't want to do this and I can't do this, and you give up. But when your goals are tied to your deep values and your interests and your strengths, that's when you hold on and you keep going. And this gives you the sense of direction that you look for. However, a lot of people set goals that are very big, and that's very good in my opinion. I love having big goals. My dreams are big, and there's this quote that says, if your dreams don't scare you, you're not dreaming big enough. So I love dreaming big. I love thinking big. And this can trigger the second stage of feeling stuck, which is feeling overwhelmed. Because when the goal is so big and you don't know where to start or what to do, the feeling of being overwhelmed will take over and will bring you back to square one, where you will not be able to move anything because you don't know where to start. And all you need is a handbook, but there is no handbook. You need to figure that out for yourself. So when we're overwhelmed, what we need to do is we need to take the goal that we set in alignment with our values and interests and passions and strengths and break that down into small and actionable steps that make sense to start right now. Which means, for example, if I wanted to start a podcast, my goal is to have a podcast that helps people live happier and more enjoyable lives because that aligns with my values. Okay, that's the goal. But having a podcast requires a lot of different things. Where do I start? So I take that goal and I break it down into actionable steps. Okay, first I need to define my target audience. I need to define the name. I need to define the look and the feel of the podcast. What topics am I going to cover? Okay, so I broke that down into steps. And now I look at the steps and I'm like, oh, shit. Which one is the first one? In my experience and in my opinion, it doesn't fucking matter. Choose one, take that step, because the next steps will follow naturally. For me personally, I started with the name of the podcast. I spent, I think, a couple of days just actively thinking about the name of the podcast. And when it came to me, I was like, whoops, now I know what to do. Now I need to find an intro that suits that name of the podcast. Okay, damn, that's cool. Let's do that. Okay, how am I going to introduce the podcast? Okay, what colors are the podcast? And as you see, the steps just roll out. So all you need to do is set that ball into motion, let it roll. And once it starts rolling, use that momentum to actually do the next step and the next step and the next step and the next step. This way we won't be overwhelmed. But if we still feel overwhelmed and we don't know which task to actually follow or start with, what I also do is I prioritize my tasks using the ABCDE method. So I write them down on a piece of paper or on the laptop or on the phone, but I love writing on a piece of paper. And then I categorize them A, B, C, D, and E. The A's are the most important priorities. Those are the tasks that have to be done ASAP. Those are the fundamental tasks. B is a bit less important, but still immensely important. C, D, you get the point. E is not important, can be postponed, can also be discarded, not needed. So A is a must. E would be nice to do it if I had time. If not, fuck it. So this also might help when we feel overwhelmed. Also, a thing that helped me was setting boundaries to save our energy and time, because life can be pretty fucking hectic all at once. You might have people calling you all the time. You might have people texting you. You might have your colleagues trying to always reach out for help. You might have your boss literally just penetrating you with emails. So you need to understand, how can I set my boundaries in order to focus on the task that I have at hand? Okay, let's say we overcome the feeling of being overwhelmed. How can we keep going without losing motivation? Because there is the third stage, which is a lack of motivation. We won't be able to perform at a high level every day. And that's obvious because we don't have the same capacity every day, to deliver the same results or to give the exact same input to deliver a good output. Once we start rolling, there are days that we don't feel like doing whatever we want to do. And what helped me is finding accountability partners. That means I literally just ran around and told everyone about my goal or what I was about to do. And I told people to hold me accountable to whatever I said. So when I said I wanted to get this done by this date, I literally told people to push me to do that. Because on days where I don't feel like doing it, they're going to call me and be like, did you do that? And if I say no, I'll feel embarrassed. Or what you can also do is tell people that you owe them money every time you skip, every time you fail to hold up your end of the bargain. And something that can also help with the lack of motivation, when you're lacking motivation, what you need to do is celebrate small successes. And I learned that the hard way, because there was a phase in my life where I wasn't celebrating any of my successes because all I was looking for was the big thing, the big goal. I'll celebrate when I get there. I'll celebrate when I have this and that and whatever. But along the way, I was checking off so many checkpoints and entering so many big milestones that I didn't even stop and pat myself on the back. And if I'm not there to help myself, no one's going to help me. And if I'm not there to celebrate my successes, nobody might celebrate them. So my best friend told me that the other day. He was like, hey, Joe, I'm realizing that you're not celebrating your small successes anymore. And he's absolutely right. I wasn't, because I was too focused on the big thing. Because I saw that the big thing is getting closer and closer and closer, but that doesn't fucking matter. That doesn't matter. It's the small things that I do every day that accumulate and compound into me achieving whatever I want to achieve. But if I don't celebrate those small stuff, that means I'm not enjoying the path. That means it's not fulfilling me the right way. So now I'm sitting here, I'm doing this podcast episode, and I have to be very honest with you. This is, I think, the 5th or the 6th take, because today I truly don't have it in me. And I feel like I'm just talking nonsense, to be honest. But I promised myself that I'm going to record this episode, and I came all the way here to record this episode, and I'm going to get it done, and I'm going to post it. Because if I don't do what I said I'm going to do, and if I don't celebrate that I was able to achieve what I have set out to achieve, I'll probably have that again next week and the week after. So fuck it. I'm going to record this episode. I'm going to enjoy this episode. I think I've been trying to finish this episode for the last 2 hours, a bit over 2 hours. It's exhausting. But I don't care. Because I owe it to you guys, and I owe it to myself to show up and keep doing this. Because I love doing this. Just because I don't feel it, just because I'm having maybe a bad day, which actually I'm not, because my day is awesome, that doesn't mean I should not do it. So by lacking motivation, I was looking for something small to celebrate, and I'm celebrating that I'm still trying to do this episode today. Yeah, this is that. And another stage of feeling stuck is feeling the fear of failure or rejection. Oh man, this was the toughest one for me, because I've always had the fear of failure. Ever since I can think, I've had a fear of failure. All I've wanted to do was make myself proud and make all the people around me proud, all of them. And I made it my responsibility to make people around me proud, my family, my teachers, my friends, myself, my partners, whoever. I wanted to make people proud of me. I wanted people to be inspired. Ever since I was 6 years old, I think. I've always aspired to be the best, but with that comes great responsibility, because I am going to fail, and I am going to get rejected, and life will spit in my face, and life will slap me, and that's okay. Let it. But you know what? No matter what happens, what I have learned is dealing with the fear of rejection or the fear of failure is tricky, because first of all, failure doesn't mean that I'm a failure. If I fail at something, that just means that I wasn't good enough to do that, or that there was something that I still needed to learn. But that doesn't qualify me to become a failure. In my opinion, a failure is a person who doesn't even try. A person who fails at something is a person who tries. And if they keep going, then that's not a failure. A failure is a person who thinks about all the possible scenarios that might happen, all the problems that might arise, and doesn't do anything. Just says it's got to be too difficult, it's not going to happen. That's a failure. A person who tries and a person who gets up every fucking time they fall, that's a winner. even if they haven't yet achieved what they wanted to achieve, but they will achieve much bigger things than a person who doesn't take any actions. So the fear of failure is, in my opinion, or failure in general, the topic of losing and failing or whatever, we need to reframe that and make sure that we understand that every time we fail, there is an opportunity for us to learn something new. I have failed miserably, and I've said that enough on the podcast. I have done so many things that didn't work out. I have tried so many things that didn't work out, and I have definitely disappointed a lot of people, including myself, multiple times. But I swear to God, every time I failed, I learned so fucking much. It's unbelievable. Every time I didn't achieve something that I set out to achieve, looking back, I was like, wow, I did this wrong and this wrong and this wrong. Nice. Next time I will not do this way, I'll try it this way. And it might still fail, but it's okay because it's an opportunity for me to readjust and learn something new and keep going. Because at the end of the day, life's too short to not try, and life's too short to be upset by failure, and life is way too short to stop it just because we're failing at something. Fail fast. Phil Knight said it in The Shoe Dog, the founder of Nike. Fail fast. It's okay. Fail. Get up. To get up, you need to be self-compassionate. In order to overcome the fear of failure or rejection or whatever, what you need is to be self-compassionate. You need to make sure that you know that no matter what happens, you're there. You're going to help yourself. You're going to get up. You're going to make sure that no one in this world, nothing in this world breaks you, because you have you to rely on and you have you to build yourself back up. Yes, I'm afraid of failure, but I know that as soon as I fail, I'm going to comfort myself. I'm going to be there and say, hey, listen, Joe, we tried. It was nice. We learned 1, 2, 3. You can be proud of yourself. Let's try again. Super simple. Practice self-compassion. Learn to be compassionate with yourself. Be kind with yourself when you experience setbacks or anything that is kind of trying to break you. Because nobody's going to come and build you up. The only person who can actually build you up is yourself. You can't depend on anyone to be there for you when you fall. But you can depend on yourself because you are there. You're the only one that you have. Might as well be nice to yourself. You build up your best friends. You make sure that they have what they need. That when they come to you crying, that you take care of them, you hug them, you love them. Why don't you do that to yourself? Why don't you take care of yourself when you need yourself? You go to others and seek comfort through other people, but not all of them will try to give you the comfort that you deserve or be able to give you the comfort that you can give to yourself. You know what you need. Give it to yourself. Yeah, this gets me emotional because I know a lot of people who are so not self-compassionate. They just punch themselves in the face the entire time. Every time they take a step, they shoot themselves in the foot. That's not how it works, bro. You only have yourself. Keep going and believe in yourself because I believe in you. The fifth point that make us feel stuck or could lead to stuckness is external factors. One of my favorite points, when people blame everything around them but not themselves. When people try to change their entire lives just because they saw a dude on Instagram or on TikTok or whatever who said, wake up at 5 a.m. otherwise you're a failure, and then after you wake up, read for an hour and then go train for 2 hours and then do this and that. This is the routine for successful people. If you don't live like this, you're not going to be successful. And a lot of people beat themselves up because they are not able to fulfill this routine, because they're not able to drastically change their lifestyle to the better, because all they're trying to do is copy whatever someone told them to do because it worked for them. But then again, you have different circumstances that I do. I have different circumstances than he does, she does. Doesn't matter. My circumstances are not your circumstances. You need to understand that. I needed to understand that because I was so desperately trying to make my life the way others told me to make it, but it didn't work because my circumstances were different. I needed to learn another way. I needed to find another solution for me in order to grow and learn and get better at whatever I wanted to do. So before you set goals and before you try to put so much pressure on yourself, take a step back and look at your circumstances. Think, is this something that actually makes sense and I can integrate into my life right now? If you work night shifts, you won't be able to wake up at 5 a.m. It doesn't work. If you go to sleep at 2 and you wake up at 5, I'm sorry, but that's absolute bullshit. So look at your circumstances and try to adapt to them, because at the end of the day, there is a set of rules in your life. You need to survive, you need to have a job, you need to have your relationships with the people around you. So set realistic expectations and goals that align with your current circumstances. Don't try to be someone else. Everyone else is taken. Be you, live you, and look at your life, because once you start trying to do something that doesn't align with your circumstances, you're going to hate your circumstances because they're not allowing you to do whatever that you want to do. You're going to hate the people that are holding you back. You're going to hate the circumstances that are holding you back, but they can't do anything about it. It's not their fault. It's your fault because you set expectations on yourself that don't work out with your life. Your life, your circumstances are there. Adapt to them, understand them, and make sure that you set your goals in a way that work within your limitations until you can break free of these limitations. But be adaptable. Yeah, I'm getting emotional. First of all, because this is like the 6th time I've tried to do this episode today. And second of all, I was talking to a friend a couple of days ago, and he just didn't seem to understand that his life's fucked because of him and not because of anyone or anything around him. And it pissed me off because I love that person. But at the end of the day, all you can do is look after yourself. Thank you so much for listening. I think I'm done for today. 22 minutes is a good time. I love you all, and I hope this episode was helpful. And if it wasn't, let me know. And if it was, let me know. And if you liked it, let me know. And if you didn't like it, let me know. Because at the end of the day, I'm learning. Everyone is learning. We're on this journey together. I'm talking. You're listening. Your feedback is important. Because I cannot judge my episode based on, I'm biased. I'm going to like it because I did it. But at the same time, I'm not going to like it because I did it. So it doesn't fucking matter. Just let's chat. Let's grow together. And see you again next week. I love you very much.